Once someone's profiled, normally that's how it ends. But this month, it does not end that way. We're actually going to hear from the victim, Mrs. Julie Upchurch, from the Little House of Flowers in Gambles, Maryland. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you, Sheriff.
First, I want to say it's an honor and pleasure to have you here, and I want to thank you for coming forth. You're actually the first victim that's going to have a voice on the Arundel's Most Wanted show, and it really means a lot to all of us in the county, in the Sheriff's Office, to have you here. So, folks, what I want Julie to do is talk about what happened on Valentine's Day of this year.
Well, Valentine's Day, as you probably know, is the busiest one day of any florist. And Mr. Horton came into our shop and wanted to order some flowers to send to his mother in Miami. Because it was late in the day, we had to actually physically call the shop, take some extra time and care with it to make all the arrangements to get the flowers that he wanted. He wanted 18 roses sent to his mother. We did that. He also purchased another large arrangement for his wife that we did while he waited, and that was our first contact with him.
Now, is that common for you to have to send flowers long distance, or do you have someone actually at another florist at a remote location do that for you?
No, it's part of the wire service. Being a full-service florist means that we can ship flowers anywhere. If you were to come into the shop and you wanted to send something to someone in California, we take care of those arrangements, make sure that we find a qualified florist to make sure that you get the quality of the product that we would give you here that you would get there.
Okay, so he actually bought flowers for Mom on Valentine's Day and flowers for his wife as well.
That's correct.
How did he pay for these things?
He wrote us a check. Which we didn't really think anything of it. We've taken checks before, and most people, a lot of people still do write checks.
And did he write one check, or did he write two for these?
He wrote one check for that purchase. It was well over $100, and again, it's not that uncommon when you're ordering 1.5 roses to be wired out, as well as another large arrangement for it to be, over that $150 mark.
Okay, now, we talked off camera. There was a little problem in Miami once the flowers arrived. And let's talk about that.
Right. Again, Valentine's Day, a very busy day. He was concerned because he actually came in the next day and said that his mother didn't get her flowers until 10 o'clock Valentine's evening, and when she did get them, several of the stems had been broken and were damaged. He then asked me, what could I do about it to take care of it, and he was buying some other things that day as well, and I took $30, off the price of what he was buying, and then I contacted the flower shop in Miami, and we split the difference. And then he, with the other things that he purchased that day, he did write us another check, drawn on the same bank. Everything was the same. This one wasn't quite as much as the first one, but it was over $100 as well. Now,
that $30, was that just taken off the top, or was he given cash for that?
No, it was just taken off of the price of his purchase for that on the second day.
Okay. And has he ever been a customer at the business before?
No.
Not that you know of, or no?
No, not that I know of. He wasn't someone that was in our database, in our customer base. So we didn't know of him from before this date.
Very good. Now, this has obviously changed the way you feel now that you're a business owner and this has happened to you. Let's get into that a little bit. What has this done? Let's hear the voice of a victim of this kind of crime. What's this done to you?
Well, I think as a small business owner, particularly in my business, running a flower shop, people think, oh, that's great, you run a flower shop, it's so pretty, it always smells nice. It's not all roses, there are bad things too. It is a regular business, and what this has done to me personally is that when I see somebody that I don't know or that I haven't received a check from before, I'm very leery about it now. I really begin to question people, when they walk through the door. And the purchase is $150 or $160 or $200, gosh, is this check going to bounce? Because as a small business owner, it's very tough to take that hit. At the end of the month, it comes straight off the bottom line. And in this kind of market, in today's environment, taking that kind of hit is just financially can be very devastating.
And you didn't feel this way before this happened? Is that
No, I
what
mean,
understand?
I've always taken checks from people, and I've had the business since February of 2006, and I've never had anyone bounce a check before.
What do you do different now because of this, because of Mr. Horton?
Well, we ask for, driver's license. Instead of just verifying that the information is correct, we're writing down all the information. We're writing down their date of birth, their height, their weight, everything, so that, what this has taught me is that, I need to have good information if it does happen to me again. And, we weren't that kind of business before. And to me, I run a very personal business. I get to know my customers. They get to know us. There's only, a few people that work in the shop, and, everybody seems to just know everybody like a small community business should be.
Almost like an honor system, though it wasn't an honor system. You trusted the people that walked in and wrote you a check. And now you have a whole different jaundiced view of, especially strangers when they walk in. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, definitely so. Our experience that day when I opened the return checks, it was just at first it was embarrassment. I turned them upside down on my desk and thought, I can't believe this. We were so nice to him. He was so nice to us. We'd spent a lot of time with him. And the reason why the checks were returned, the account was not even a valid account. So he knew that when he walked through my door. He walked in my door knowing he was going to steal from me that day. And it was embarrassing to me. And when I met you and we started talking about this, that's one of the reasons that I decided, to go ahead and do this, because people need to speak up, and they don't need to be afraid. If someone's done something to them, we live in a system that it's just our way. You do what's right, and when you don't, there's penalties for it.
That's absolutely right. And we were talking off camera, and I think you got to tell the audience this. During Valentine's Day, as you know, folks, we were doing the Sheriff's Office Flowers by Ron Sting. Well, Mrs. Upchurch recognized me in a local restaurant and approached me because of her incident here and my connection with flowers on that day. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, when I saw that you had done that, and I got a kind of a chuckle out of it. I just thought it was just a great way to get, people that, that you had warrants issued for. And actually, I think when I introduced myself to you, I introduced yourself, as I'm Julie from Little House of Flowers. And if you ever do that sting again, I want to be the one to supply the flowers, because I just think it's great that, what a great way for you to, get your job done.
Well, that's good. So you also had told me earlier about just this feeling you have, and you and your husband made a comment to you. Let's share that.
Well, my husband said basically when I went home and told him, and we kind of sat there and pondered, and my husband was actually in the shop that day that Mr. Horton was in on Valentine's Day, and he knew him as well, recognized him as well. And he said, he was telling a friend that really the experience, what it meant to him was, it was almost like the guy just walked into our shop, pulled out a gun, opened our cash drawer, and took $400 from us, and turned around and walked away. I mean, might be an exaggeration, but certainly we felt violated that way, almost to the point of it being violent, because he knew ahead of time that the checks were no good.
Right. This is not like an overdraft where he wrote a check that was too big. This account was actually closed.
Yes.
Okay. Julie, I really appreciate you coming on the show. It really it shows a lot of courage. I wish you and your husband the best for Little House of Flowers in Gambrels. Folks, I want to